In the first hour of this program, I made some observations, ladies and gentlemen, that if you are a weak individual, questionable character, dubious mental capabilities, and if every day you are told how unfair and unjust your country is, and how you are responsible for destroying the planet unless you do X, if you are told you haven't got a chance in this country because of racism, bigotry, homophobia, whatever it is, sexism, if you've been told that you got nowhere to go because you're African American or Hispanic and the deck is stacked against you in an unfair country, then what would you do if you're told this every day by people you vote for, by people you support? If the movies you go see tell you that your government was behind the downing of the Trade Center and the Pentagon in 9/11, as the movie Zeitgeist did, the documentary, if you were told by Michael Moore that all of this was done on purpose, if you're told that the rich have taken what's rightfully yours, if you're bombarded with this every day as part of a political message, what would you be capable of doing? What might it drive you to do? I mean, we could just as easily say that the left is responsible for Tucson and events like Tucson, because it is the left which routinely, regularly, continually agitates, abuses, punishes, fines, name calls. The left creates this environment in which the individual is smothered, treated as worthless and degraded. The left is constantly telling us how horrible we are, how horrible our country is. The left's leader runs around the world apologizing for this country, how unfair and unjust our economic system is, how our major corporations are out to kill you, to screw you, to rip you off. They create this environment of pessimism, of self-hate and loathing, desperation. They turn citizen against citizen. Blacks against whites, men against women, Hispanics against whoever, you name it. People are constantly at war with each other. How can you be proud of yourself when you're told you don't sacrifice enough for your state? You're not paying enough taxes. You're not giving enough to the cause. Or that your ancestors committed some horrible offense. Or if you're unable to succeed, it's because of the founders and the inherent racism and unfairness of our culture and our Constitution. Or capitalism. You can't get into the university you want because the system is rigged. A system that has been built to deny you what's rightfully yours. If you're told this every day, and you are, this is the Democrat Party message. It has been for as long as I've been alive. Who is it creating this sense of desperation, despair, and pessimism? Who is it playing on fears and weaknesses? Who is it that constantly parades these victims before Senate and congressional committees? It's the Democrat Party, ladies and gentlemen. So, what have you got when a climate like this exists, and then you get Al Gore producing a movie lying to people about the world being destroyed? Fake, photoshopped pictures and movies about ice flows melting, whole glaciers melting, the eastern coast of the country being flooded, unless you drive some clap-tap piece of junk car that you really don't want. But it's a status symbol, so you go get one. You are inspired to hate anybody that does any better than you are. And you are told that when those people are punished, that's your reward. Not when you do better, but when those people are punished, that's your reward. That's when things are being equal. And the Democrat Party is going to make sure that everybody who's guilty of doing better than you are pays the price one way or the other. So what are you inspired to do? You want everybody to get theirs. You want everybody to be gotten even with. You take people who are unbalanced, weak, susceptible, impressionable, and you bombard them with that message in the Democrat Party and their willing accomplices in the media every day, and what the hell kind of person or people are you going to create running around out there? Then you show them a Michael Moore movie or show them a Zeitgeist movie, they're government led by a Republican lied to take us into war in Afghanistan, lied to take us into war to get us in Iraq, lied about weapons of mass destruction, lied about being responsible for 9/11, purposely wired those buildings to blow up and blamed it on some innocent Muslims. What are you going to think? Are you not going to run around confused and filled with hatred? Isn't the job of a community organizer to tell people they don't have a chance? Isn't the job of a community organizer to say, you're screwed, but not for long if you support me, because we're going to get even with these people? How are we going to do it? We're going to make sure everybody's as miserable as you are, and we're going to call that fairness. So, here's just the latest example. And it's from our beloved French news agency. World is one poor harvest from chaos. New book warns. Okay, now imagine yourself. You're a Jared Loughner, or 1 degree of that or another. You're unstable. You're weak. You can't find success outside of Powerball, and even that has eluded you. It's cold out there. You drive a dented rat trap car. No girl will have anything to do with you. Your only fun is video games, and even those have become boring. Blockbuster shut down. They don't sell video cassettes anymore, and you don't have a DVD player because the rich stole the money that you were going to take to buy one. And then all of a sudden you get up and you read that mankind has been pushed to the brink of collapse by bleeding water aquifers dry and overplowing land to feed people. In his new book, World on the Edge, released this week, Lester Brown, well-known environmentalist wacko, says that mankind has pushed civilization to the brink of collapse by bleeding aquifers dry, overplowing land to feed an ever-growing population, while overloading the atmosphere with carbon dioxide. If we continue to sap Earth's natural resources, civilizational collapse is no longer a matter of whether, but when. Well, what are you going to do? The world's already stacked against you. This country's already made it impossible for you, and now there isn't going to be enough food either, because the filthy rich bankers and whoever else, led by whatever Republican, have bled the world dry feeding themselves, enriching their corporate profits or whatever. Brown, the founder of World Watch and the Earth Policy Institute, which both seek to create sustainable society, told the French news agency, what distinguishes World on the Edge from his dozens of other books is the sense of urgency. Things could start unraveling at any time now. It's likely to start on the food front. We got to get our act together quickly. We don't have generations or even decades. We are one poor harvest away from chaos. Yeah, you remember when we were all just one paycheck away from being homeless? Back during the Reagan 80s. We have been talking for decades about saving the planet, but the question now is, can we save civilization? Well, what are you going to do? And this is a common refrain, 1 degree or another, of this apocalyptic message right out of the Democrat Party, the American left, the worldwide left playbook. If you happen to be weak, unstable, mentally weird, who knows what you're doing in your basement, planning for the ultimate day when all this happens. And who you going to blame? You got to hold somebody accountable for this. Because every day you're told and you're given a list of names of why you haven't succeeded. And it's everybody but you. Everybody else's fault that you are human debris. And you got to go out and you got to punish whoever did this to you. And the Democrat Party has given you a list. So, if the world is just one poor harvest away from starvation, maybe we ought to stop putting corn in our cars. What do you mean by that, Mr. Limbaugh, putting corn in our cart? Yes, Mr. New Castrati, it's called ethanol. And the price of tacos and enchiladas and everything they eat down in Mexico is going up sky high, and including where you eat, Mr. New Castrati, because corn, which we used to eat, is now being put in cars to fuel them at no savings in any regard. Lester Brown, the recipient of 26 honorary degrees. He holds a MacArthur Fellowship. He has been described by the Washington Post as one of the world's most influential thinkers. Well, obviously, Jared Loughner has to have heard of him. So this is just one example of my point. Food riots could erupt in low-income countries with confidence in the world grain market shattered. The global economy could start to unravel from one of the world's greatest thinkers. Hell, you don't even have to be unbalanced. Just say you're an average college student, skull full of mush. You've watched Gore's movie. You've read the stupid book. You believe all this garbage. You wear all the ribbons. You buy all the accessories to make yourself look like you care more than anybody else. And you read this. And what are you going to do? Well, you're going to be motivated to go into journalism for social justice. Or become an aide to the Democrat Party. Or what have you.